Well, I had a lot of new work partly from a visit to Japan I did last spring. I was there 7 weeks, and I noticed that my art was changing a little bit from being affected by the place, which was Japan, as you can imagine. And so I went to a market called Gage Market, which is the largest fish market in the world. And I was very affected by it, by the dynamic energy, by people working, thousands of people, millions of fish. It just was chaotic but organized, and people worked very hard. I loved it. It was color and life, and so I took photographs and then decided I would do a series of paintings on the market itself. I've heard that the market will be closing, so I thought it was a commemorative way to honor the workers there and the fish, too, that give their lives. And so doing that series was very interesting for me, because usually I paint, kind of psychologically, expressionistically, but I was trying to be fairly accurate and in the color, and do a color studies of these fish that I saw. And so that brought me into a really different place. During the time I was there, I then noticed that the cherry blossom season was going to begin. So I kind of took what I'd been doing with the fish market and did it with cherry blossoms and pear blossoms. And again, it's more accurate than I usually am, more realistic than I usually paint. And it brought me into, after that, I went on holiday for a few days to Long Beach, and I just sat on the beach in the wind and blowing sand and managing my paint and my water and paper, and I just started peeling off feelings of the tides and the winds and the waves, and came up with a totally different style than I've ever done before, which would be this series. And so it sort of affected me by thinking the place affects who we are. It's about place, and where you situate yourself will bring out different parts of your character, your personality, your talents, maybe your gifts. It's just really interesting. Maybe your humor, many aspects you see differently. And that's sort of when I got everything up, it proved it to me. And then I brought in things from Victoria, which is where I live. So it's my home. And that was more like Botanical Beach, where I went and spent some time last summer. And again, a different feeling came. And then some of the old ones that would tie in with a theme of place, but not necessarily geographical, but a psychological place. And that was a whole other, it took me somewhere else. In the whole theme of Pacific Rim, how we're joined by water, we are joined by ocean, and we are the same everywhere. Who live in coastal villages. People need the sea, they need the sound of birds, they need foghorns, they need waves and sunsets and sunrises. We become a different person because we've been exposed to that. So that's a little bit of what I'm trying to show in this show. So kind of complex, but not really. Yeah. So I guess that's about it. And the theme of Pacific Rim brought in another painting I'd done some time ago, a big one of a fishing village, a coastal village. And I did that after visiting Nicaragua. So I, again, was brought back to that place. You know, you get affected by where you are. Yeah, so I tried to show it and maybe articulate it a little bit. And for both of those, all of those. Actually.
Yeah.
So I took a show
And that was one out of one of the.
the landlord that just mine. It's a two-story
Oh, thanks.
and they've got all those. Landlord, the family guy, he should be paying me, right?
My boyfriend's coming. That's about 300 for each one. And if you touch yeah, melon. And then there's sushi.
Because it gives me, it's so interesting.
And there's other things like.
You know, the more you put in, it's
But yeah, look, see what you think.
so it's been a
Well, that's, I think, why would you consider it?
well,
Also, there's wine if you're interested.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different.
That's okay, don't worry about it. I'm just like you. And I actually did buy, I bought a really neat bar. And I saw them and I was thinking, and I was like, yeah, oh my god. That's awesome. So occasionally. So we go to the last meetup one?